I'm Jackie from the Instagram pages Chronically Jackie and Helper Dog Harlow. Today I'm making this video to answer the most frequently asked questions I get on both accounts. And those questions are along the lines of, how can I get a service dog? Do I qualify for one? And can my dog become a service dog? Generally, those are the questions I get a lot. And I love answering y'all's questions, but now with Harlow at almost 100K followers and I'm almost at 10K, I'm getting about 80 to 100 messages a day. And I want to be able to efficiently keep up with them. So that's why I'm making this video, so I can direct y'all here and I can give all of my advice in one place. So hopefully I'll be able to answer you quicker now. So I'm going to give all the advice I have in those areas, including important information regarding service dogs. And I'm really excited to do this. So let's get started. The first thing I want to go over is the difference between therapy dogs, emotional support animals or ESAs, and service animals. A therapy dog is a dog that's often registered with a therapy dog organization that provides testing and liability insurance. They accompany their handlers into venues such as hospitals, nursing homes, and they even go to schools to do reading with children. They provide emotional support and comfort to many people who might be having a hard time. For example, when I was in the hospital, a therapy dog came to visit me, and it was a great way to lift my spirits when I was having a hard time. Emotional support animals can be any animal, not just a dog. I know someone who has an emotional support snake, which was pretty neat. These animals can live in no pet housing and they can go on airplanes, but they don't have public access rights outside of that. They are also only for mental health disabilities because they aid in the treatment of their mental health condition. They require the prescription of a doctor. These two animals, therapy dogs and emotional support animals, don't have public access rights because they are not covered under the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. This is a federal law that allows the handlers of service dogs to have their dog accompany them in public. It gives us, myself, a service dog handler, the right to have my service dog come with me in public places. This is because my service dog is considered medical equipment because she is specifically trained to perform tasks that mitigate my disabilities. For example, I get very dizzy from my postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and I cannot bend down to pick things up because it could exacerbate my symptoms or even cause me to pass out. Harlow will pick things up for me and give them to me. Other tasks include seizure alert, guiding a blind person, telling someone who's deaf and alerting them to sounds. One thing that does not count as a task is emotional support. This is because emotional support is not something specifically trained. The dog's presence is not something that can be a task, so emotional support doesn't count as a task, but there are such things as psychiatric service dogs. In fact, I know many psychiatric service dogs and they do wonderful work. So that's the difference between emotional support animals, therapy dogs, and service dogs. Now on to the next thing. The next thing I want to bust wide open is this certification myth. In the United States, there is no such thing as service dog paperwork, certification, or identification. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. The only thing that makes a service dog is if they have been specifically task trained to mitigate their handler's disability. Now, if you go online, you will find tons of scams that offer registration for your service dog. These online companies will send you paperwork and IDs and certifications, and they are all scams just after your money. I promise you, they have no legal standing no matter how convincing they look. I mean, I could send in a picture of a gerbil and they send me the ID back. That's how illegitimate they are. So please don't fall for these scams because they make the lives of legitimate teams a lot harder. Let me tell you how. Because when people flash these IDs and certifications to all the businesses, they expect every team to carry them. And then when I didn't show mine once, even though previous teams have shown their IDs, I got the cops called on me. And it was just so frustrating because no matter how hard I tried to politely educate, they had it in their head, the manager that called the cops, that I was supposed to have an ID because everyone else had an ID. But in the United States, there's no such thing. There's just these false, illegitimate companies that sell fake ones. So the whole certification epidemic is a problem, but I'm battling very hard to break the misconception. That whole situation got resolved. The cops never showed because it's not, a true emergency. Also, I called corporate and fixed the whole thing. Now, the two questions businesses can ask, and only businesses, not random members of the public, are, is that a service dog required because of a disability? And what tasks does the dog perform? My answers would be yes and medical alert and mobility. They cannot inquire about the dog's training, the dog's age, the dog's vaccines, or my personal disabilities. That's too much. That's personal. Plus, in the federal law, those are the two questions they're allowed to ask. Yes, this does leave a lot of room for people to lie and pass off their pets as service dogs illegitimately. We call these people fakers, and this is a growing epidemic in the service dog community. It's a big problem because these fakers often, go the route of using the scams online, which makes our lives harder to begin with, and their dogs are often very ill-behaved, which reflects badly on legitimate teams. Their dogs are either pulling or, soiling in the stores or barking, or they put them in shopping carts, and it's just not very good etiquette, and a poorly behaved dog reflects badly on legitimate teams that put so much effort into training and upkeep and things like that. But good news, stores and businesses can and should ask unruly dogs to leave. Even if it's a service dog, if the dog is not under the handler's control, the store can and should ask the handler to remove the dog. Now, the other good news is that more and more states are making it illegal to pass off a service dog falsely, falsify your pet. More and more states are making it illegal to be a faker. There, that sounds better. And that makes me so happy, especially in Florida. Now, if you pass off your dog as a service dog falsely, you can get jail time and a fine, which I think is great because this is not something you should take advantage of. It's for people with disabilities to live an independent life. So, now that we've got that taken care of, let's go on to the next thing. Now that y'all have all the information I feel you need regarding service dogs, I can answer one of the most frequently asked questions I get on both of my accounts. Do I qualify for a service dog? And I'm not talking about me personally, I'm asking as if someone else has just asked that question to me. So, to qualify for a service dog, you must be considered disabled. And that does not mean you have a medical condition. You have to be disabled by that medical condition. For example, I have migraines, but my migraines don't disable me. I have POTS and other various medical conditions that do disable me. And by disabled, I mean it severely limits or I'm completely unable to complete major life activities. The person who can best determine if you are disabled by your medical condition is your doctor. Who better knows your medical conditions than you and your doctor? So have a conversation with your medical professional. They can help you determine if you are disabled and if a service dog will be a good addition to your treatment plan. Not only do you need to be qualified as disabled, but the service dog must also be able to provide specifically trained tasks to mitigate your disability. After you've spoken to your doctor and they think you are disabled and a service dog will be able to help you, then you can move on to the next part, which is to weigh your pros and cons about getting a service dog. Remember, a service dog isn't for everybody, and that's okay. They add to your treatment plan, and everybody's treatment plan is individual. So it's really time to do your research to make sure getting a service dog is the right decision, because this is a huge lifestyle change. For me, a service dog was the right choice. It's given me back my independence, and yes, I love Harlow. She has helped me so much, but there are some things I could live without and some things you may not have considered about getting a service dog that I'm going to let you know now. For example, everyone's going to ask you questions. It's weird to see a dog in public, and the general public just is caught off guard by it and they want to know more. Questions I get every day and very often are, what's her name? What does she do? Why is she in here? What's wrong with you? Are you training her for someone else? Oh my gosh, I had a dog once that looked like this. Let me show you a picture of my dog. Oh, my dog just died, and so on and so forth. They ask about your disabilities, personal questions, and it can get a little overwhelming sometimes. But you have to keep in mind, the general public is just genuinely curious. Mostly they don't mean any harm. There are some rude people out there, but you're gonna have to learn to deal with them too. Even when I'm not feeling well, and I've already been asked the same question 80 times that day, I do my best to be polite. Every time I go out with Harlow, I'm representing the service dog community. A person who comes up to me, I might be the very first team they've ever encountered, and I want to make a good impression. So, not that you have to be the perfect diplomat, you will have a little bit of a responsibility because you are representing the service dog community. That's something to consider. Also keep in mind that you will be stared at. You have this big bulletin service dog with you, and it's like people are gonna act like they've never seen a dog before. The screams, the shouts, oh my god, a dog, can I pet it, running up to you, children screaming, people pulling your dog's tail and petting them without asking, staring all the time. I have gotten used to it, but a lot of people, it makes them uneasy. Think about that too. Also, you will be all over social media. I am, because I post it myself, but my butt is all over Instagram from people taking photos of Harlow and me from behind. People will take photos of you without asking, and they will post it, and your butt might be out somewhere because people take photos of my behind while I'm walking with Harlow and I am not aware. So that's also something to think about. Also, taking a service dog with you, not only do your errands get slowed down, like there's no such thing as a quick trip to the store anymore, because I know I'm going to be stopped by at least 5 people asking me questions. Your trips get extended in time because you're essentially taking a child with you everywhere. Not that a service dog misbehaves, they're well trained, so yes, the whole going through the store with the dog will be easy, but you know, it's loading them in the car, taking them out, making sure all their gear is set, getting them ready for the day. It's like you're taking care of another family member and bringing them with you and all that. So your trips get extended because of that. You got the public who is always going to be approaching you. And then there are access disputes where people will deny you access in businesses because they don't know the laws. I talked about it earlier with the certification problems. So you're going to need to research the laws and learn how to advocate for yourself as well. So those are all some things to consider before you get a service dog. I also suggest finding handlers and talking to them about the pros and cons so you can get a real picture for what it's like to have a service dog. Remember what I said, this is a huge lifestyle change. It is not like getting a pet. I also want to add that you need to make sure you are well enough health-wise to take care of them. They require their own physical activity and enrichment to lead a happy life. Also make sure you are well off financially to take care of their vetting, their food, and whatever other expenses they may need. So please research. Look at all options and make sure that you're ready because, like I've said before, getting a service dog is a huge lifestyle change and it comes with pros and cons. Just make sure you're making the right decision because it is a big one. After you have done thorough research and you know you're making the right choice to commit to getting a service dog, then you can look at the venues to obtaining one. There are 2 main choices, which is either going through a program or owner training. I am owner training, but I also have advice for going through a program. I'm going to go through the 2 options and give all the advice I have for each. Going with a program is an excellent option. Programs are organizations that fully train service dogs and then place them with people who are disabled. This is actually the first attempt my family and I made to get me a service dog when I was 15. We found an organization in Florida and they said that they already had a dog that was ready to go for me. It was only a couple grand. We would do a few days of team training in which they teach me how to work with the dog, and they guaranteed that the dog would learn how to warn me before a seizure occurred. It sounded amazing, too good to be true. So we went, we paid, did the team training, came back home, and then things got sketchy. The dog bit me, bit my teachers, bit my nurses in the hospital, and when I started seizing and passing out, the dog just walked away. So that is what I call a scam. It was heartbreaking. We returned the dog for retraining and never heard from them again. Lost out on our money. It was a terrible situation. That is a huge scam, and my family made a lot of mistakes that I would like y'all to learn from because unfortunately there are so many scam organizations out there. So let me tell you some of the mistakes we made because I want you to learn from them. We were so eager to get my independence back, so excited to get a service dog, so amazed that one was ready to go. It was meant to be that we rushed into it. You do not want to rush. This is a big decision. You want to take your time, do your research, make sure you're going with a legitimate organization because this is a huge investment, a big life decision. No rushing, do your research, take it slow. The other thing is there were some red flags that we didn't know about because, like I said, we rushed into it. First, they guaranteed the dog was going to alert. No such thing. Alerts are natural. The dog has to be able to do it on their own, and only a small percentage of dogs can do that. Even with diabetic alert dogs, even though you can train them to pick up the scent, not every dog has the ability or desire to do so. Guaranteeing alerts is a red flag. Also, the dog was ready to go. That is another red flag, because it takes about 2 years to train a dog. If an organization doesn't have a wait list, that's another red flag. Do you see what I mean? That the whole it takes 2 years to train a dog about and then no wait list was incongruent. Another red flag is they didn't ask for proof of my disabilities or any type of medical documentation. How did they know I was telling the truth? Red flag. They didn't come inspect my home, or they didn't make any guarantee that their dog was going to a good home. Another red flag. They were ready to send their dog off with some random family. So these are just some red flags to look out for. And just because an organization has one of these red flags doesn't mean they're automatically bad. But it just means be careful and do your research. One tip I have for you that I think is a really good one is go to the Assistance Dogs International website. ADI, Assistance Dogs International. There they have a list of reputable organizations, and I call this the safe list, because if these organizations have it good with ADI, they must be really reputable and legitimate. If you go through this list, maybe there's some in your state, some of them cover the whole nation, and going with these people, you'll get a good organization. Something to keep in mind about going with a program, like I said, training a service dog takes a few years. So the waiting list will be a few years. That can be discouraging, but if you want a well-trained service dog, it's going to be worth the wait. Plus, if you owner train, it's going to take the same amount of time to have a service dog, because owner training takes a few years, being on a wait list takes a few years. See what I mean? Also, some organizations ask for money and some don't. If they do, you can fundraise. And some people fundraise through restaurants or raffles or selling things. Just get creative with it. And like I said, please don't rush. Do your research. Look at the list on the Assistance Dogs International website, and just make sure you go with a good, reputable organization. Ask to speak with clients who have been their clients in the past, who have gotten dogs from them before. And also make sure they have some type of option that helps you keep up with training after they place the dog. That's very important, because service dogs never stop training. There's always the upkeep of, maintaining established skills. So that's all my advice for the program aspect, and I hope that helps, because I really want y'all to be able to learn from my mistakes. So just take it slow, do your research. Time to talk about owner training. So the first thing to consider is, are you healthy enough to do this? Owner training is quite taxing on the body, and if you're doing it, it's most likely that you're chronically ill. If I were to restart right now with a tiny 8-week-old pup, I know I couldn't do it. There's no way. My health has declined. I'm not in a position where I'm healthy enough to restart owner training from the beginning. And I know my limitations. I think it's a good thing. So first consider if you're healthy enough to keep up with the constant training, the physical exercise, the grooming, and all the other aspects that come with owner training a service dog. Secondly, make sure you're well off financially for this. It's expensive. Don't think that it's going to be cheaper than going through an organization. Also, some organizations don't even charge anything, so keep that in mind as well. I have spent a couple thousand on Harlow already, easily, and she's only just over halfway through training. So make sure you're well off enough health-wise and financial-wise. So after that, I recommend getting a behaviorist or a private trainer before you get the dog. A behaviorist is a person who has gone to school to learn about dog psychology and behavior. I like them. They're good. So I get the private trainer or behaviorist first. Then, when you're looking for a dog, do temperament testing. I start with 8-week-old puppies just because that's what I prefer. But sometimes people get older dogs to skip the tiny puppy potty training phase, which is fine. Generally, people get dogs 2 years of age and younger, but it varies from owner trainer to owner trainer. So take the behaviorist to the litters or the rescues, wherever you're going, and temperament test the dog. You cannot guarantee that a dog will make it as a service dog when you start training. They may wash out, which means fail, but that's okay. You do the temperament test, and if they pass or get a good score, then it's more likely that they will succeed than fail. Also keep in mind that when you owner train, it is more likely that your dog will wash out than succeed. And it's a kind of scary thing to think about, but it's true, and I feel like I needed to tell you that. So, you got the trainer, you're doing the temperament testing. I also recommend group classes. I think they're a great way to safely socialize your dog with other pooches and teach them to focus on you in a distracting environment. From there, I also like the book Teamwork 1 and Teamwork 2. I like YouTube videos. I have some on my YouTube channel or Helper Dog Harlow's YouTube channel. There's a lot of great videos online that can help you teach certain things from basic obedience to advanced task work. And just listen to your dog. What I do with owner training is when I started her young and when I start puppies in general, I focus on socialization with all different types of people, tall people, short people, different races. And then as they get older, I slowly increase the amount of time they're in public. So it's like 10 minutes at 4 months, and then when they reach 6 months, they can be out for maybe an hour, and then they can come with me more when they're a year old. And we do short training sessions while we're out, and I increase how distracting and obnoxious the environment is as they get older. I don't want to push them too hard. I don't want to burn them out at a young age by making them do too much work. So keep that in mind, listen to the dog. Highly recommend getting the private trainer, the group classes, the books, and the YouTube channel. Now, I also get asked, can my dog be a service dog? The answer is just maybe. Only a small percentage of dogs can happily be a service dog because the work is kind of stressful. Only some dogs can be happy being a service dog. So that is why I suggest, again, if you have a dog that you want to make a service dog, just find the behaviorist or private trainer, have them temperament test, and go from there. If they don't pass, keep them as a pet. Consider getting another dog or going through an organization. If they do pass, then work with that private trainer or behaviorist and continue the training. So again, trainer, group classes, books, and YouTube. That is all the advice I have for the owner trainers. So now I'm just going to go over where I got Harlow and how I learned to train. So after the scam fiasco, my family and I decided it was a good idea for me to learn to train my own dog. I've had 2 service dogs prior to Harlow. One was Austin, a rescue, and one is Oakley, a backyard bred golden doodle. Austin was 6 months old when we got him, and unfortunately he just had too much baggage from his past that his temperament wasn't right and he couldn't get over his past happenings, whatever it may have been. He was very dog reactive. Maybe he was attacked, I'm not sure. So Austin's now an agility dog and he lives with a nice family. Oakley is now my dad's pet and we love him, but unfortunately he developed arthritis at 2. He just didn't have the health, lineage, and testing that you get from good breeders because he was backyard bred. Even though he was a great dog, I couldn't ask him to work because he developed arthritis at 2 years old. So this is why I go with really reputable breeders who breed for temperament and health, because I don't want to put all the effort and time and money into training a dog that doesn't have a good guarantee or solid foundation in temperament and health, mostly the health. Now, I know a lot of people who use backyard bred dogs and rescues, and they are phenomenal teams that I love and respect, but that's just my personal preference, and I'm just explaining why I use breeders. Now, if I was getting a pet, I would rescue for sure, but this is just my explanation of why I choose to go with a breeder for service dogs. And now let me tell you how I learned to train is because with Oakley and Austin, I had no idea how to train a service dog. It's crazy. It's different than training a pet. It's weird. So I worked very closely with private trainers, and yeah, it was really expensive. I was working with them more than once or twice or 3 or 4 times a week, but after years of working so closely with these private trainers and learning lots of different training methods, now I've learned so much from them that I feel confident enough to train Harlow completely by myself. And I use positive reinforcement training methods, and it's just going really well now. I feel blessed to be where I am, even though my life is crazy with my health. I like where I am now. I like the ability I have to train Harlow, and I feel thankful for all that I've learned from those private trainers in the past. So that's how I learned to train. That's how I got Harlow, from a really good breeder, and thank you for watching this video. I really hope that it's helped answer those questions y'all ask me sometimes, a lot of the time. And please feel free to reach out to me if I happen to not answer one of your questions. Thanks for watching.
Say hi, puppy. No, don't kisses. Say hi. Say hello.